According to the Central Statistical Agency, inflation in June rose by 24.5%. Alarmingly, food inflation has risen by 28.7% in June compared to the same period last year. Improving productive capacity and giving priority on supply resolutions are among the interventions government has been applied to address inflation in the country.
When we say enhancing our productive capacity, focusing on supply solution is really the critical solution. We mean business here. So what we do in that regard would significantly help us reduce the rate of inflation. And of course, the market structure also had significant problems that we need to address, that we need to correct.
On the other hand, an economist argues that the government involvement in the market is critical to avert the existing inflation in the country, along with improving the production capacity.
It's not only a simple solution by increasing productivity in production that will overcome the problem of inflation. Because increasing productivity in production is a long-term, thinking. But how to have the existing produced goods and services at a reasonable price. So what is the solution for that? It's not a question of increasing the supply simply by production, but by doing proper intervention in the marketing system.
Demis also urged the government to revise its intervention system on the basis of the cause for the existing inflation in the country.
The solution should be targeted in two directions. Like in the first instance, if it is a money issue, a money supply issue, if it is a cost of production issue like the reduction of fuel subsidy, so on and so forth, the government has to revise carefully about its intervention strategies.
Currently, the major components of Consumer Price Index (CPI) indicates the biggest share of inflation is coming from the food sector. To some extent, this happened due to the malpractices of food trading community. Therefore, it requires a strict regulation mechanism, the scholar added.
Yes, the language in the market is supply and demand. But in agriculture, in several agricultural commodities, the problem was not that much of a problem of production, because the Ministry of Agriculture was telling us it has produced 300-something million quintals of grain. I'm talking about only grain. But the total production in terms of pulses, oil crops, and others, so on and so forth, is about 400-something. We have the statistics. It's obvious, okay? But do we get that produced amount in the market when we need it? No, because of the problems that I have mentioned.
Ethiopia has the capacity to handle its inflation by itself rather than only receiving external advices from World Bank, IMF and others, Demis noted.